Hello everyone and welcome to Air at Military Collectibles. So people have been asking me to cover more documentaries or cover more information on the War of Independence. So that's what we're doing. We're in a small little village called Tourmakeady. I can never get the name correct in my head. It's in County Mayo and it was a fairly big ambush. There was about 60 Irish volunteers involved in this ambush. So behind the camera is a town called Ballinrobe, and if we were to carry on the road about 8 miles, we're going to come to a place called Derrypark. Derrypark. And the idea behind the ambush was basically, it happened in the 3rd of May to 1921. And at that stage, the War of Independence had gotten nasty, and the IRA were using guerrilla tactics, and they were hitting outer rural area police barracks and stuff like that, so they were hard to supply. They were getting closed down and then they were being moved into bigger towns, which Ballinrobe was, and their aim was to close the barracks, which they succeeded in Derrypark, because it was very, very hard to resupply. So we're actually looking at the ambush backwards. So Ballinrobe is behind the camera, Derrypark is 8 miles down the road. And what would have happened on the morning of the 3rd of May 1921, it should have been a 3-car convoy, but it wasn't. It was only two cars. They were tipped off by an Irish volunteer in Ballinrobe who actually worked in the shop, because what happened was the convoy every day when it travelled would put an order in at the local shop for supplies, tea, sandwiches, milk, things like that, as they were travelling in convoy. So he knew that the convoy had been cut from 3 cars to 2 cars. He actually cycled on a bicycle here to tell the guys that at the ambush to wait for 2 cars rather than 3. The IRA, as I said, was about 60 men, and it was divided into 3 groups and 1 subgroup. You had one group, what's called here, actually at this side of the wall, in a place called, this is known as the Fair Green. Okay. Further down, you can just barely make it out. You can see a roof through the tree. That was actually a hotel. But on the other side of the road, you had another group of about 10 to 15 men. And then later on, down at the end of the road, at a blocking position, you had another 10 to 15 men and a little subunit in the police, or in what was the former post office at the corner. So what would happen basically was the convoy travelled off. The first car, it was a car and a Crossley tender. The first car got engaged by the guys at the blocking position. Just here where you can actually see there's a level crossing, further up just beyond the playground, the Crossley tender was engaged by the guys between the Fair Green and the guys in the hotel. There was a RIC constable killed outright, and there was another one injured. But the driver managed to keep going to just level with the hotel that we're going to go to next, and the Royal Irish Constabulary and some auxiliaries managed to get into the hotel, and they basically formed a defensive position. So where we are now is Hewitt's Hotel. Hewitt's Hotel is here on my right. It is now the new post office. Crossley tender would have just sort of came diagonally across this road, and the lads managed to get into the hotel cover up to form a defensive position. The other IRA position was where these houses are now. As you can see, the road is very narrow and it's very hard to see distance-wise down the road, so it's ideal for an ambush style type of attack. There was 2 constables killed, one constable killed outright in this engagement here, and there was another one injured. So we're going to carry on to the next position, and I will show you what at the start of the ambush. As I said, this is the middle of the ambush now. So just behind here you have the old post office. Now this was taken over by a section of men with the commander from the IRA group involved. And I haven't mentioned any names or anything in this documentary, because I'd need to get permission from families and stuff like that, so we're just covering a broad aspect. But the commander of the IRA ambush would have used this building. The reason that he took over the building was because there was a wireless in there, so they had communications with the other areas. Obviously there was the telegraph and stuff like that in the post office, the reason behind that was to take over the post office, and so they could cut the line of communication so that there wasn't going to be any more reinforcements from Ballinrobe. Actually, straight across the road from it is the old police barracks, or the old constabulary for this area, which they had succeeded in getting closed because they had attacked it a few times already. So here we are, we're at the start of the ambush, as I said. Remember, this is where the blocking position was. Just at that wall there where you can see the top of the roof of the tractor is known as Drimbawn Gate. It's into an old estate, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's why I think it got its name. As you can see, it's a perfect spot for a blocking position because it's nearly a 90-degree turn before there's just another car coming here now. So, 1 second. So yeah, so it's a 90-degree turn. You can't see what's coming around the corner, so it's an ideal spot for a blocking position. As I said, the convoy consisted of 2 vehicles. There was a car and a Crossley tender. When the car got to roughly 15 feet in front of me, it was engaged by the guys behind the blocking position. They were armed exclusively with shotguns, so they were waiting until they got up close and personal. Everybody in this vehicle was killed. There was, I believe, including the gentleman that was killed in the Crossley tender, or the constable that was killed in the Crossley tender, there was 3 individuals killed in this vicinity. I don't think anyone, from what I can find out, no one got away from this vehicle. The only survivors were from the Crossley tender that managed to get into the hotel. So if you like this type of documentary and information that I provide here at Era Military Collectibles, please like, please subscribe, and please tune in for the next video. Thank you.